Hi, hello, this is JulesTheHuman here. Welcome back. No, welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime. I was filming a lot of YouTube videos earlier. Welcome to the Jules and Matt Anime Hour. I'm one of your hosts, JulesTheHuman, and every week we go out into the world and watch a little bit of anime, and then we come back here and talk about it. And today we are finishing up our chats about Kiznaiver, an anime where we have many thoughts, and it will get ranked on our board today. Done, signed, sealed, delivered, and then we are going to pick a brand new anime. A new anime here. One of these will be picked. Some of these are suggested by me or Matt, but some of them are also suggested by you, the viewers. So these are suggested to us with a $500, 500 bits. Let me start over. 500 bits on Twitch, $5 super chat on YouTube, wherever you're watching. That's how you can get an anime added to the list for the anime chest, and we'll pick it out, we'll watch it, we'll rate it, and then we move on. We watch, rate, move on, and we do it. We talk about it, give our thoughts. I don't go on this anime journey alone. I am joined by my co-host Matt Galley. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to pick a new anime, hopefully one that does not emotionally drain me.
Can I just have one where they're just big dudes fighting, just like just punching each other? Are there any of those
Let
animes
me get
left?
some power systems. Let me get some
Yeah.
Kamehamehas. Let me get
Yeah.
something a little more light, a little more shonen, a little less
Yeah,
shoujo, a little less.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, I
It's
just
just
want.
it's good. It's like it is what it is. It does a good job, like I said, at what I think it set out to do in the first episode, with where the story kind of showed us the direction that it was going. But I do think that it really slips up hard and kind of fumbles some bags near this last
Yeah.
4 episodes here. It kind of forgets what it's trying to do, I think, and tries to become something that ends up being too big for its britches.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been going through a lot of anime that are only 12 episodes long, and that's kind of how much we go through. It's one whole season. How much story can you tell? Can you tell your complete story in that? Do you not take on too much, more than you can chew? And I think that's what Kiznaiver kind of suffers from a little bit, because I mean, if you knew you only had one season to sort of wrap everything up together, we started a lot of different threads here. And some of the ones that we did get closure on, I'm not, I don't know. I don't know. Well, let's talk about it, because
Yeah.
it really was the friends we made along the way. And I don't know, man. That's cool. Shout out to everybody watching on YouTube or on Twitch. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, we are picking a brand new anime by the end of this, but we got to talk about some Kiznaiver first. Episode 9, Kiznaiver. It's all over, I think. Let's get into it. What happened?
Chidori is left speechless as Katsuhira rushes to Sonozaki. The Kiznaivers are grouped up in an AV room where they bear witness to Katsuhira confessing his feelings to Sonozaki. Urushi is revealed to be Sonozaki's mother, and Katsuhira recalls his friends from the past after Sonozaki reminds him of their names. The Kiznaivers respond to Katsuhira's memories and walk in on him embracing Sonozaki to Chidori's dismay, then running away. Katsuhira chases after Chidori, and all the Kiznaivers can hear Chidori's heart calling out for its desires. Everyone catches up to them, and everything hits a boiling point as secrets are revealed and hearts are broken.
Oh,
Episode
no.
9.
So this
Whew.
one was the one that hit me hard in a weird way, just because of something that happens towards the end. But they're all forced to watch the Sonozaki x Katsuhira talk. And are we meant to feel so bad for Chidori? Because we constantly just feel bad, or at least I do.
Yeah, I constantly feel
Chidori,
bad for her.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, where is she going to get her redemption at? And
Yeah.
like, she kind of does at the end, but not really.
Not really.
And it's like, are we just gonna give this one character so much emotional trauma and go through so much and then just not talk about it? I was the most pissed about that. Her character arc, which is non-existent, and she's just there to feel the weight of everybody else and to be the third wheel infinitely.
Well,
So
I think that by the by the end of this episode, that's where things stand for sure. But I do think that she kind of hits a point where she, again, like we as the audience feel bad for Chidori because from the start we've seen her to, you know, be the most caring of somebody else's like
bro, she makes
emotions and
them
stuff. Like, yeah,
food.
I totally get that. But like, you know, like I'm just saying, like, she totally, for lack of a better term, for a very long time, especially when she was like, "Oh, Katsuhira, I used to love you." And his response is like, "Oh, I could forget about that if you want." Like, he like low key friend zones her without directly friend zoning her with the way that he's acting. He's not responsive to her her romantic advances. He doesn't put any. He straight up tells her like, "I never even thought about why." You know, in a later episode, why you put so much time and care into that. But then in this episode too, we finally get the reveal that Tenga has a crush on Chidori. And
Hmm.
like I totally bite on that. Like, not only after they showed it being like kind of like set up in that whole sequence thing, but from the fact that once kind of everybody was very like overtly aware that Chidori still had feelings for Katsuhira, he was the first person to jump and be like, you know, hey, I'm willing to help you out with this problem that you have. And it was like, it was just completely unprompted. And
Hmm.
she finally realizes at a later point that, you know, she kind of has been treating Tenga in this to the same capacity that Katsuhira has been treating her. We as the audience again have the most runtime with Chidori and immediately kind of relate to her
Empathize.
initially and empathize with her initially more than Katsuhira because she's the one who displays more traits of humanity out of all of them initially. But yeah, it's just, I mean, like it's yeah, like it builds and it like you feel bad for the things that are happening to her, but it's like it's that
But then I don't even feel like,
juxtaposition of perspectives, I think.
yeah, I don't even feel like they lay that in as much because we get it after the credits. We get the resolution to her, you know, the arc that you're talking about, sort of how she finally realized that, oh, like I was doing this to Tenga when he had those feelings for me this whole time. And we get it after the credits a little bit. And then we get some funniness with Nico afterwards. But I'm like, okay, I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I just feel bad for Chidori, really. Um, it's been 12 years since they got picked together and they are bound together, question mark. This started for rightness and permanent peace. We are still getting keywords here about what the Kiznaiver program is about. It's about rightness and permanent peace, and not a, you know, singular definition here, but that's okay. It's not what it's about, I guess. They can now pinpoint who the pain is from in particular. Something really interesting that kind of came out in this episode. They're like, oh, this person is, you know, having pain. And I was like, wait, what? And then they're like, oh, it's this person. I'm like, oh man, what's going on? And then after that, we get some cool stuff where they're hearing the voice in their heart, and we get what's it called, Chidori's voice from the heart. Chidori just saying, hold me like you hold her. Oh my goodness. And then he does it, and then how could you hold me, you're so cruel, just confusing Katsuhira. And then we hear another voice, and I'm like, what? And I thought it was the same. I was like, oh, I literally, like, I did one of these. I was
Yeah,
like, oh
yeah.
my god.
I had a very, very big response to that scene. This whole
That
scene
was
of
good.
everybody's hearts calling out. Yeah.
I like that part. It was Tinga
Yeah.
voice, like, oh, everybody's doing it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is insane. Um, give Tenga to me. We can't be friends from Nico, and all their hearts are going crazy, and they're left in the rain.
It hurts.
Just there, it all hurts. They're just all hurting on the ground from the pain from each other. That's a cool scene. This is a cool looking scene. The way we ended this episode.
This, in
Um,
my opinion, should have been like the episode 11 or the episode
yes,
like 10.
yes.
I think we're getting this just a little too early, and episode 12 definitely stands to attest to that.
This was the
But we'll get
most.
there.
Yeah, this was the most where I was like, I'm in it here. Like this was the peak for me. It went all the way up to this episode, episode 9, and then it kind of just went down from there. But we get some words here. I forgot who said it, but they were talking about what they're going through. If you get too close to someone, you have to share your heart with them and you have to reveal yourself, which is kind of the theme of the last couple episodes, kind of the theme of the whole show about is it commentary on humanity where you have to, in order to get, or like the human need to be close to somebody, but being the vulnerable self you have to be in order to get close enough to them. Like what are they, I guess, is that what they're trying to comment on? Because it is hard. I mean, if you've ever been, with somebody or, been very close to somebody that is not family, you're like, oh, there's a point of vulnerability there where it's like, oh, I have to give them what they properly need. And I have to show myself to them and show this where I don't show anybody else.
Yeah,
And it is hard.
And that's, I think, what it's like, and in order to I think that's kind of the point of the Kizna program being an allegory for that, with them like kind of starting off with just the physical pain where that's something like so super surface level, but the more they come to know and understand each other, they come to know and understand the pain that each other feel on more deeper and deeper levels until they can, like in an earlier episode, Sonozaki kind of alludes to that, the fact that they might eventually be able to read each other's minds, which it's not each other's minds that they're reading, but it's essentially they can hear what each other's inner heart is calling out for. So yeah,
still don't have
just again, it all comes back around to the Kiznaivers we made along the way.
For sure. Episode 10, you knew very well that your romantic feelings might be unrequited, right? What happens in episode 10?
The Kiznaivers all go their separate ways for the remainder of the summer, Hisomu finally being the one to reestablish contact with Katsuhira afterwards. Back in school, Yamada taunts everyone while Sonozaki remains absent. Nico approaches Katsuhira and Hisomu, wanting to reconnect and be friends. The mayor ends the project with Sonozaki seeming to throw herself off a building in response, Katsuhira being overwhelmed with the pain before seeking out Sonozaki with Nico and Hisomu. Urushi takes them to see the Kizna control room, explaining the situation further before taking Katsuhira to see his non-responsive childhood friends, also bringing him to recall his memories of his childhood with Sonozaki.
Yeah. They all go their separate ways for the rest of the summer, and the Kizna leaves them.
Because that's what constantly got told to them.
Yeah. What was
till the end of summer? It's just till the end of summer. After summer, it's going to deactivate. Blah, 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 blah.
Wild move on the teacher to
just directly taunt them in the classroom.
Taunt them there in the classroom and push Tenga so far. And he's like, you're the only one that felt pain, right? And there was no twinge in anybody else. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy, bro. Nori-chan leaves the mayor. Unlike the last time, what is it saying? She says she's done for sure. Or she's like, I don't know. I don't know why I wrote that. I don't know why I put that. But 19 children are in the Kizna program. We get more information on the Kizna program when they were children. Transferring pain. Now, this was the interesting thing that they started off with. So in the beginning with the Kizna program, there was 19 children. And instead of sharing each other's pain, they were transferring pains. The goal
all
here,
to one person.
Yes, the goal here was to split it. Well, that's what ended up happening, right?
Yeah,
but
that's what ended up happening. But the goal was for it to be split amongst them all equally. Anytime one of them felt something, split 19 ways into everybody else equally, so that way they would all experience it together. But instead, everybody feels nothing and just directly transmits it to one person is what ends up happening.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like
that kind of is insane.
That's crazy.
And I love how Hisomu's sitting there like, oh my god, how awful.
Yeah,
how
he's
awful.
like, oh,
I wish
no.
that was me.
Yeah. So Nori-chan, Sonozaki feels the pain of 5 of them all together, felt the pain of the most in all the children, and she took 19 times the pain from all the children, and it's unbearable pain. And that's where we get the clarification on why she gets the injections to
To make
nullify
her
all
feel
the
nothing.
senses, because she still feels all the pain from all these kids, which is insane. So,
which is like even in the last episode, in episode 9, Tenga asks her, like, he's like, so you and Katsuhira are Kiznaivers, right? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, so that means that you feel all the pain that he's feeling, right? And she's like, I suppose that's what that means.
yeah.
It's like, it in the moment I was like, that was kind of a weird answer, like, what do you mean by that? But then it's like, it makes sense, like, yeah, I suppose that's what you mean, but not really, because I don't feel anything ever.
Yeah.
And that's why Katsuhira never. Oh well, the whole. It's not that she doesn't feel anything, so he feels nothing. We find out that it's like, it's she never sent anything back to them in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
all of their senses got dulled to the point that they have no sense of groundedness, because they had no stimulation growing up as people. So
they
people like
became
I think that's what causes Sonozaki, not Sonozaki, Katsuhira to hit his breaking point, is when he realizes that, like, he's kind of one of the people that, like, got the easier, like, not so rough end of the stick, and he gets to see what the actual repercussions were with his friends that are, like, pretty much sitting there lobotomized.
Yeah. And it's a cool concept. I like the concept. I like the, like, as a story, like, building off of this. Well, this is a crazy thing, and it's very unique, I gotta say. So this episode was fine. I this is what I wanted. I wanted more information. What happened when they were kids? I got it. We saw the other kids that got diluted into really shells with no emotion. Katsuhira finally shows some emotion. We see him crying here. All right, episode. Fine. I think the most issue I have with these 4 lies in the last 2. I don't know if you're on board with me, because this is setting up. I can see where it's setting up. Episode 9 and 10. Oh my god, we got a crazy cliffhanger at the end. Oh my god, they're all on the ground. We got Katsuhira, episode 10, crying. We get the more information about what's going on. Oh my gosh.
One thing I just want to add, I love that, like, Hisomu's kind of just like the first person to come back to Katsuhira and actually check in on him. And he's like, oh, I know you haven't been eating. I brought food, like, in a can opener. Like, I'm here to make sure you don't wither away into nothingness, because
that's cool.
That was not a cool thing that happened to all of us. And he's the first person to just be like, we were
pretty rough.
Cool, so I'm just kind of here to be chill. And then when he's Katsuhira, or is that in the next episode or this one? I think it's the next episode. Never mind. Yeah. Sorry. I think that's just really funny how so far he was the most background out of all of them. But again, he's the first person to just show back up.
Mm-hmm. And we don't get much about him anymore. I mean, he's just kind of there after his first, initial episode. He's just kind of as a comedy relief, sort of. And that's fine. I'm fine with not seeing more of what he does. So I definitely
like the role he got. Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
He got slotted into.
And I don't mind any of the main characters either. I mean, I did grow to like them for sure.
No, yeah, it's just like it makes a lot more sense that like he was kind of the like they even said, he was always the kind of the exception. He was the kind of outlier out of everybody.
Yeah.
But in the midst of that group, all the rest of them kind of had a heartbreak of one kind or another. And it really hurt to see when I'm forgetting Maki. Was it Maki? Sorry. It was really hard to see Maki walk away from Yuta after he tried to reapproach her and she was like, we said we're not going to talk to each other anymore, right? And he was like, no, just to the end of summer. That's what we said, right?
Yeah.
He was like, just going to ask her something, and her back's already to him going the other way. And I was just
sucks.
Ouch. That kind of hurt.
For sure.
So yeah, like
Um,
I buy into the falling out aspect of it
no,
because of
that's
the
totally fine.
intensity of all of the emotions coming to boiling points.
Yeah.
And again, I just feel like these episodes are great, but yeah, the two that follow do not follow them well.
Episode 11. We have to contact each other and confirm our feelings because we're friends. What happens in episode 11?
Starting with a flashback of Noriko, we see her go from being sheltered to becoming friends with all the kids that she would become linked to. Leaving the Kizna headquarters, Nico emphasizes how Katsuhira needs to explain what he's feeling to them now that they're no longer linked. Chidori realizes that she treated Tenga exactly how Katsuhira is treating her at the moment. The mayor announces that the Kizna program is officially closed as Sonozaki returns to the school, calling Katsuhira an imbecile as he pleads to her. The Kiznaivers meet on the roof of the school where they discover empathy, and Sonozaki goes big bad. Episode 11. I didn't like this one. Started
Bro,
good, ended awful.
was the
Descended
real
into what chaos.
was this whole thing about trying to understand other people? Because that's it. That's all it was. This whole anime was built on these kids finding and figuring out friendship. And I'm sure if I was watching this, and it could just be me and me
It
being an
just
old,
goes too like on the head about it, and too
yeah,
much where like their reactions are just like that. This is the point where I don't buy any of them as characters. They're not acting
Be-
with any of their traits, and they are just doing things because it's time for the next thing to happen.
they're doing things because it's time to exposition.
Yeah,
It's time to say,
it's time to set up for
wait,
the finale.
no, we were already friends before we split up, and we're friends though. And but why did this pain show up? Because of human emotions, stupids. I get it, you're children, but you understand human emotions, right? Like, it could just be because I'm old
Yeah,
that I don't want this story, because I'm like, yeah, of course, we know friendship, we
yeah.
know empathy and how to care about people before having something implanted in you to feel pain for each other. But it seems like they're missing that somehow
Again,
in their life.
it just goes too much on the head about it when like they start going like, oh my god, is this because we're still connected? It's just like, come on.
Don't say
Like,
it.
yeah, don't say that. Like, don't ask the stupid questions.
Yeah.
Don't make the
It
yeah.
really fumbled, I think, because of this whole thing. And
It's that's literally it. It's everything up to this point that has made this show so good, because not everything about this show is great, but everything up to this point that has made this show so good is the characters' dialogue and their interactions with each other.
sure.
But halfway through this episode, it's like they've all hit like a reset. And I get that they stopped hanging out through summer, but you don't forget all about, like, somebody in that span of
A
one
month.
summer vacation, then coming back to school, and like you just like it just doesn't hit right for me that that again they just it feels like all of them have
Started back at
taken
the
so many
beginning.
started back at the beginning, taken steps back, and they seem so surprised that they could feel emotion about somebody that they know hurting it.
Feeling someone
And
else's
then their
pain.
response to
Yeah.
being so surprised about feeling somebody else's feelings, because sure, up to this point it's all been through the Kizna system mostly, so it makes sense that they have kind of like over reaction on responses, because they're not the ones always expecting to get hit by that stimuli. So it's like, oh yeah, they weren't expecting a bonk, so of course they're going to be kind of surprised when they get a bonk. But here, when they see a friend completely breaking down emotionally, and like they're just all like, what is this weird feeling inside my chest? Is this the system? Like,
Are we still connected?
the everything that made them believable as characters and playing off of each other just all falls apart at that point to me.
Yeah.
And then we're just left with at that low, leading into
Because this is
the
a
big
penultimate
reveal.
episode.
Yeah, leading into the big reveal that Sonozaki wants to take over the world. With the
Sonozaki
Kizna
wants to
system.
bond with everyone in the city. So, well, in the next episode, so that
Yeah.
she won't be alone, or a couple different
Yeah.
things, right?
Yeah.
So we get some more
But
illusions.
It jumps the shark.
Yeah, we
The
get some more
shark
illusions
jumps the
to what
tornado.
what the Kizna system actually is. Feeling someone else's pain as if it's your own, possible without the Kizna system. And that's what they were trying to prove, that you can feel someone else's pain as if it's your own. Almost like, I don't know, how a normal human does it. How do we do it? How did we do it before the
Empathy.
Kizna system? There's no, yeah, I had no clue. I need to join someone's pain. I need to take someone's pain away for me to understand empathy. Oh man. It just like they're trying to explain this whole thing like it's such a foreign thing that people don't have empathy. And I don't know how they thought this was going to solve world peace or anything, because I'm sure the people that are doing evil or whatever have some sort of empathy. They just want the other thing more or something. They just want power.
The ends
more.
justify the means to them.
Yeah. And like, I get it. I'm like, whatever, bombing for millions of people or killing people or whatever. But doing that will give me this piece of land or something like that. And it's like, well, I'm going to do it because who cares? I don't know them anyways. Would them feeling pain from those people change anything? I don't know. But that's what they were trying to prove. And world peace and all that, I don't know. It's just kind of odd the way they did it. I like the concept. I do like the concept. Really interesting story with Sonozaki back when she was a kid. Whoa, crazy children. One feeling 19 times the amount of pain.
I
Cool
think
setup.
Put that like somewhere more in the middle, and then have her trying to like kind of like respond and recover and break that thing with using the rest of them, and something happens that causes her to go off the deep end, and then she tries to link with the whole city because she realizes, oh, they all left me, and so I need everybody, because I need everybody, so that way we'll never have to be alone again. I just don't buy into her suddenly like thinking that like she needs to be connected with everybody in order for her to not be alone after Katsuhira inviting her to the training camp, after he did all that, after he embraced her when she was seeking him out and stuff, and then he tries to talk her down, so to speak, before she ends up doing that stuff outside, before she called him an imbecile in the school.
Is she trying to connect with everybody so that the kids that she's already connected with, they can't? I don't know her reasoning really, and it was a little muddy for me. Is she trying to save the Kizna program because of the kids that were still vegetable-esque?
I don't even know if I could tell you. That's the thing, and that's the problem, is that I'm not buying into her motivations, because I don't understand where the reasoning is being drawn.
Because she went hella rogue, and I was like, okay, why? What happened? We all were trying to be friends here, and I thought you were getting to the group. I thought you were getting there because they obviously wanted you in the group, and now you're not. Episode 12, the final episode of Kiznaiver. If the Kizna system spread throughout the world, what happens in episode 12?
I don't have a lot written for this one.
Sorry. Okay.
So Sonozaki attempts to take over with the Kizna system, and all the Kiznaivers rush to assist Katsuhira in pleading with her to stop what she has planned to do. Finally, achieving that and having Katsuhira's pain return to him, where we then get a post-credit sequence showing where all the Kiznaivers are now, having all the relationships led to this point before closing out the show. Kiznaivers did it.
That was the shortest final episode recap here in the history of the show, I think. That's wild.
I was not about this episode.
I don't care. It was all about friendship.
It tries to set up these monumental stakes. And I get that, like, you know, even in the first episode, we had some foreshadowing with the fact that this has happened before. Like when you see the two bridges up, it's like, oh, I've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, wait, yeah, there's no real development about like that past part. And why is it happening again, given everything that's happened? Like, it just didn't feel like a satisfying way to conclude the episode, where
good season.
I just think about like something like Madoka Magica, where the world-ending stakes and the narrative kind of coincide and build off each other, and the characters' motivations and their actions, like they all build off each other to bring forward this like kind of world-ending cataclysmic event that feels like not, it feels satisfying to be portrayed within that universe, given the like the stakes of the narrative and the consequences overhead. But everything happening in this last episode, nothing feels like it matters, and there's no weight. Again, going off of what I said about the last episode, all of the characters become caricatures and just moving devices of the plot to be put where they need to be put in order for this episode to take place how it does. And it doesn't feel like it's grounded within the rest of the narrative as it played out.
No,
at all.
Claire on Twitch says, but we need stakes to kill this show and make sure it stays dead. Or maybe we need stakes to cook and forget about it. I'll take the second one for sure. Haven't had steak in a while. Yeah, dude. I mean, if she could share all the wounds from inside her to everyone. Yeah, that's the thing. She goes around. I mean, it was a cool looking episode. I mean, it looks great.
Just again, everything that happened in episode 9 and episode 10 feels so much more impactful than this in the last episode.
Yes.
And anything that happened here. And it felt like this moment just of Katsuhira finally kind of like there was one screenshot I grabbed when Katsuhira says where
which one? This one? This one?
Yeah, that one. That's like the last like 2.5 episodes. It has nothing to do with the Kizna system. It's like everything that the show was built off of up to this point. It had these last 2 episodes. Nothing has to do with the Kizna system.
Yeah.
Everything that the show had been about up to this point, nothing feels like it's impactful. Nothing feels like it has a meaning in this last episode, where every single time they hit Nori with some sort of like a thing that like what? I don't get it. Yeah, you don't get it. So it's okay. Just take time to understand it. Oh, now everything's different because I was told to just chill, bro.
It would literally the characters continue to say, but it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I mean, now that you say it a bunch of times, yeah, maybe it doesn't. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Even the characters were confused about the ending of the show, really. Yeah. Because literally in the last episode, how many times does a character say, what do you mean? What's going on? Just wait. You'll get it sometime. You'll understand. I'm like, I don't understand, bro. I don't know what you're trying to say here. I mean, I get it at the end. She lets go of the pain because of Katsuhira. Everything's fine. Friendship wins. But like, what was this?
Doesn't happen in a way that feels satisfying the way the rest of the show has been built up.
No. And it was like trying to shoehorn this ending for something that we just kind of figured out in the last couple episodes. And I was like, wait, I was on this other road with them trying to fix the world. And then it became really about Sonozaki, which I guess they were alluding to ever since the beginning. But like, I want to know the resolution of this over here. And I guess it did kind of, because they are friends all together, but I
And
didn't know the story was just going to be about friendship.
And that's why I think episode like 8, I'm sorry, episode 9 and 10 just feel like the more conclusionary like episodes where that's like like I hate to say it, but like it might have served better to have more of a melancholic ending with something like this and have that program like show to be ineffective or something, you know, just like I like, and have some sort of a statement to say about like, you know, always being force fed the emotions of other people and needing to still maintain distance to have healthy relationships and stuff like that. Maybe it could have come out to be saying something better with more of a melancholic ending. I don't know. Not every story needs to have a happy ending is all I'm saying.
Dudes will literally take on the pain of 16 people before going to therapy. Sonozaki, I had this thought. Sonozaki didn't want to be alone, so she said without the Kizna, they wouldn't be with her anymore, I guess is what she was sort of kind of saying at the end. But in the end, I really think she was the bad guy because she kept those kids without pain as sort of prisoners. Like she was like keeping them like that, even though she was taking care of the kids without pain. She was continuously to keeping them that way because she wanted to stay connected with them. And I thought that's kind of bad. Sonozaki, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm trying
to find something. Actually, when you put it that way, actually, I didn't even think about it like that.
It's like, no, I'm gonna take care of you. Stay here. Be painless. You're mine. We are connected forever. It's like, wait, what? What are you talking about, bro? But then we get her smiling at the end. So everything came out okay. And we got Chidori and Tenga with a budding romance. And Nico is going to fight to the death for Tenga because she still likes him. And what's his name? Yuta and what's her name? Mika?
Hanaka? Maki?
Maki. And Yuta are like, she likes him, they're together, and I'm like, oh, okay,
and she
cool,
was like,
whatever.
I'm gonna make you fat to keep the pests away. I thought that was funny.
I'm gonna fatten you up so there's no other girls that look your way. But well, I don't like this whole Sonozaki thing. Wasn't a big fan of the way it ended, the way she kind of, you know, her ideas weren't really and I guess the whole anime wasn't really conclusive on anything except for friendship is the way, and it is vulnerable, and it is hard, and it's painful, and there was continual throughout the anime, just continual you know, speculation and thought on what it means to be a friend. And I guess if that's what you want to say with the 12 episode anime, that's cool.
I was okay with it being an explorative anime on like friendship and what it revolves around, the limits that one can be pushed to doing things for another person, the delicacy of like of balancing, you know, romantic feelings in friendships and stuff like that. Like I was totally okay with all of that, exploring all of those concepts. But again, when it just tries to then right at the end be like, oh, and the world's ending, it feels like there's a disconnect somewhere in
but
there.
Also me as an old person, it's like, yeah, okay, it's like seeing someone,
well, these are high schoolers, and like I try to take myself back and put myself in, like, you know, the mindset of things that I had going on when I was in high school, and I'm like, this would have
also
been
in
very
anime,
very
but also in anime, in the same medium, we have high schoolers like fighting gods or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
But again, in the first episode, we had, like, very symbolically, the show kind of set itself up in what it was going to explore. And
it's kind of, yeah, for me, the show was kind of like watching, was like kind of listening to somebody explain your favorite book series to you or at you, and it's just kind of like, yeah. Oh, and then he did this thing, and then I'm like, yeah, I read it, I did it, I know friendship, I know empathy actually too. They're like, yeah, but like when he rode the worm, and he was like, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I think I'm just too old, and probably if I
And
would have watched it when I was younger in high school, I'd be like, oh, cool. But now,
I completely agree with you. And I do think that it's 100% about I think I said it a little bit earlier too. The characters and their interactions and the dialogue that
sure,
carries the show
definitely,
through everything. Like that is and the I'm sorry, the animation, the visuals, and the
yeah,
sound design, the characters, voice acting, like
yeah.
these are all things that are carrying the show. Things where the show completely drops the ball is kind like Katsuhira feels like the only character that really gets any development, and that's very
When you have a
trivial
group,
for me. I
yeah, when you
trivialize
have a
that.
group of characters there ready for it, we get smidgens of movement on their
Yeah.
characters, but ultimately, I feel like by the end, Tenga was kind of the same. I was
Tenga
like,
was kind of the
he's just
same.
kind of the same.
Chidori, she
Miko,
was basically just like, oh, it's not great if I discount somebody else's feelings just because I'm getting my feelings discounted.
but she's still acting the same way.
Exactly.
So
So it like, you know, so
Yuta,
the character development and the story progression, the world building, all of these things that kind of bring a great story together are entirely absent. What you are left with is an okay story, a completely middle of the ground story about some very interesting characters in concept that feel like they have a lot of room to grow, that end up don't ultimately going anywhere, to service a budding romance between a character that does get developed and a red herring character for 90% of the series that we're supposed to think is this kind of just background girl, but ends up being the big bad evil guy.
yep.
I don't mean to, like, you know, talk down on this show so much, because it was, I mean, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I have an opinion on it,
I
but
accept,
I can't say that I would very well recommend this to anybody else.
and I watched it. Where do you rate Kiznaiver on animation?
On animation, I'm giving Kiznaiver a B because it looked really great, and some of the shots were really pretty. Character designs were great, but there wasn't a lot of flashiness to the animation, so it was good, but and very consistent. But it never did anything that kind of took me, like, you know, took me by surprise. Everything was very
Yeah,
by the books for what the show was trying to do. Where would you rate the animation?
animation was a B for me as well. I mean, some of the was it this? I think it was this anime where some long shots. I think at the beginning, it was like you can't see their faces. Was that this anime? Yeah, I think so. Where it's like, oh, they're
Yes.
showing a character in the distance, and they just don't have a face. I'm like, okay, whatever. I really liked how colorful it was. It was really pretty. The colors were nice. It got me watching. I mean, some of these shots are really nice, especially in the last episode, especially on the final shot. Actually, this final shot, they put the rest of the budget on this smile because I was like, oh my God, this looks crazy. But
On both reveals of Sonozaki smiling. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. Like some of it was just like boom, but like again, it had some cool colors in
It
it.
those shots never got to the degree that Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress got to with its still shots, though.
Yes,
That's
those were great.
that's what I mean
That's
when I say that stuff that takes me by surprise when you put that in an
That's
anime.
an S tier anime. Claire says on Twitch, I'm glad you failed to trick me into watching it with you. Darn. We didn't. Boom. Matt, would you put Kiznaiver on storytelling?
Storytelling, I'm giving it a C. I'm leaning into like C minus canonically. I was almost gonna give it a D, but like I because of these last two episodes, basically, But then I reminded myself it's not always about the destination. Sometimes it's about the journey. And I can't say that I didn't enjoy the journey that these characters went on together, even if it was just watching their interactions and seeing how things played out. It told the story exactly that it set out to tell, but it didn't stick the landing. Even though I feel like some restructuring might have made it feel a little bit better and palatable. And that's why I'm sitting at a C minus, because it still said what it was going to do and then did it. Just not very great or good.
Yeah, I'm giving it a
storytelling.
D plus. I just don't know if I like just having so many questions in my head every time I watch. I mean, I do have to agree. I do like the characters. I did enjoy them interacting with each other, going on little things in the beginning, doing, whatever activities together and hanging out. And maybe I shouldn't ask for an anime where I just want characters to hang out, because then I don't get story.
Yep.
That's what I wanted. I was like, you know what? I just want little characters to hang out. And then I got it and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I want a good story too. Wait a minute. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Fine balance.
Yeah, I thought I wanted it and now I know. It's kind of like trying something and you're like, that looks good. Nope. Sorry, my bad. I'll just eat pizza again or something.
It's not scratching my brain, it's scratching against my brain.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of sandpaper, not too hard, not too rough, but a D plus for storytelling, because again, those last two episodes were not it. I really liked episode 9 and 10. I thought that was going to be the end, and I thought that's kind of the story that was going to conclude, but then it became this other thing, and it just felt kind of out of nowhere, and I was still in question about what really was going on.
And in these types of stories, where again you end up having that happy ending, a lot of the times think of like Shrek. There's that big moment where everybody has a misunderstanding and now everybody's mad at each other. Mm-hmm. And this show just handled that moment, but like it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was that everybody could hear each other's true hearts and feelings calling out. And that was like the peak of the story. And then everything from there just kind of like it took a step down and then it took a dive down.
Yeah. And that was cool. I liked that. What would you put this story or this anime on vibes?
I struggled with this, but I do think that even given these last two episodes, I was vibing S tier with this show for exactly
S tier
on the vibes with this show for me, because I really liked the characters, I really liked the art design, and I enjoyed watching their interactions. Even if these last two episodes, again, I struggled really hard, but if I had watched it all the way through, it would not have been, I think, as hard to watch these last two in the whole package. But since I got these two, and these are the two of the four that we talked about today, I'm trying to keep the bigger picture in mind. And I did really enjoy the ride up to that point. Like, I was totally sold. I was just down for the journey, down for the story that I was ready to tell. And this is our what is it called? This is our our personal preference category.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it was S, if not S minus. I'm not saying it's S plus, not gonna top.
It's you, whatever.
Part, but
yeah,
I was vibing.
Certified Viber. I give it a B plus, A minus, around there. Vibes were cool, man, but man, I really didn't feel we said it in the beginning. Oh, is the Kiznaivers really the friends we made along the way? And then the second episode we talked about the next 4 episodes, and we're like, is it really the Kiznaivers friends we made along the way? I'm like, well, I hope not. Maybe it's about, the actual system that's going. Nope. It was about the friendship, all that stuff. I really like the characters, but man, that story was a stinker for me, and I was just
the story was just vibes, and that's the thing for me, I guess.
Yeah,
I was there for the experience, and that's what I walked in ready for.
I feel like this anime could have been an email.
Yeah, Could have been an email.
Oh,
Hey man,
I don't know.
what you did last weekend, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we should talk about it.
Yeah, per my last email, we need to talk about this anime. But that's where we ranked it. That's where we ranked Kiznaivers, and our scores combined with your scores
Put it
are
on a chart.
a B. This is a certified B anime. Kiznaivers, another CZ pick. Look at all those guys. Look at all of them.
Yeah, that too. Another CZ pick. I was really trying to also not let it influence my votes too much. That like we've gotten a lot of emotional anime, and I'm trying to I try to keep myself like engaged, even though sometimes I can find myself emotionally drained out of what some of these stories are putting forward. But
Yeah.
I try my best to stay locked in.
For sure. I was definitely locked out on the last episode. Not even gonna lie. I was just like, okay.
The bridges came up, and we were just like,
I mean, that was a cool
nah.
way for bridges to come up. It was like slanted. I was like, okay, cool. That's a construction.
One thing that did really make me laugh super hard though was when Katsuhira went, Sonozaki, don't, it's dangerous, and then she blows up one of the bridges. It's like, no, I am the danger.
Yeah, I am danger. Shut up, you.
Other than that, hated that episode.
So Kiznaiver is rated as B, and let's look at it on the board with all the other ones. Look at Sonozaki there with all the other characters there. I kind of like that, where we have one little character for all of them that kind of just
I think that fits nice in the B.
Yeah, fits nice in B. We still need a D anime. If anybody wants to submit a D list anime, 500 bits on Twitch, $5 super chat.
Given what you said, how Sonozaki is actually kind of like a kind of, you don't agree with the whole, just because of your feelings you're keeping all of them like,
sure,
docile in that state. Who's worse? Sonozaki or Rachel?
Rachel, yeah,
from Tower of God, that we also recently watched.
Oh man,
let's let everybody think about that.
I don't know.
I want to see answers.
They both kind of suck.
Who do we hate
more? We should have worst villain category for the crunchies. Like, worst, you did bad. We didn't like you. Like, there, I know we're not supposed to like the villain, but like, we really didn't like you. Like, you're not even a good villain. You're not fun. You're supposed to be a fun villain. Silly, goofy.
The best types of villains are the ones where you see their backstory and like, oh yeah, I could see how that person got there.
Yeah. But you just sucked.
Both of these characters
I just didn't like you.
Just suck. I was about Chidori and Katsuhira,
bro,
all the way. I said it in the last episode. I stand on that business, and I'll put this episode to rest by.
I don't even want Chidori to be with Tenga. Tenga's not even a good substitute.
Nope.
Chidori deserves better. Hashtag Chidori deserves better. Get you a man that can do something better than squeeze boobies or whatever Tenga does without consent. Maybe the real villains were the writers we met along the way. Yes, the writers for best villain are the writers of Kiznaiver. Anime chess. Time to pick a brand new anime. So wiping the slate clean. No more chats about Kiznaiver. It is over. These are the anime, except for Kiznaiver. Kiznaiver's still up there. I didn't update it. But all of these anime. Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Komi Can't Communicate. Mob Psycho. 100. You can read. All of those here are in the anime chest that Matt has. They are submitted by you or one of us. And the next anime we're going to spend the next 3 weeks talking about and watching together, because you watch them with us, is...
This one is Erased.
Erased. Well, that was yours, wasn't it? No, was it?
This is another CZ.
Is it really CZ?
I don't want to be here anymore. No.
I don't want to feel.
I don't
Take away
want
my
more
pain.
feelings.
Sonozaki, take away my pain, please. I just want to have a
No
silly,
way.
goofy anime.
How many seeds you put in here?
Yeah, how many? I think that was it, right? Because Summertime
Goodness.
Rendering was Bubsy's, I think, or somebody else's. Guy High School Before He, those weren't him. This is probably the last one, I think. Erased. Yeah, you wrote CZ on it. Erased is the anime we're going to watch. Episode 1 through 4 by next week. So we are on Tuesday, which is a little different. Hello, Joker. Hello, everybody watching live. Appreciate y'all here. We are going to watch episode 1 through 4 of Erased. So watch it before next Wednesday, and we're going to talk about it on Wednesday. We would love for you to watch and join us in watching it together. It's my first time. Have you ever watched it?
No, I have not.
I heard some stuff about it.
I have too. I'm ready to feel some things. I don't know, man.
Brother. Erased episode 1 through 4
I'm
before next
tired.
Wednesday.
Tired of feeling.
Claire says, I've already seen it. I enjoyed it.
One that Claire enjoyed. Okay, never mind. Let's do this.
Yeah, it's worth. It's worth.
The certified Claire enjoyed it. Like, I can draw some solace in that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Episode 1 through 4 of not Kiznaiver, Erased by next week. Matt, when you are not feeling the pain of 16 children, where can they find you?
You could find excuse me. You could find me. You could find me on sorry. On my Twitch at Matt_Galley. Or follow me on my socials. Just add an ITS at the front. It's Matt_Galley. Jules, when we're not here discovering base human emotions, where can the people find you?
You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman. If you're watching this on Twitch and you're like, man, he doesn't stream anymore, what's going on? I'm streaming on YouTube, youtube.com/JulesTheHuman. JulesTheHuman on all the other socials, but I post the most on YouTube. And I'm going on vacation on Friday. I'm leaving for like 5 days to go see the eclipse in some secluded area. And I will have a bunch of videos one video a day for like the next 5 days or something coming up.
Are you gonna be playing some baseball in that eclipse?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm gonna be out, and you can see a bunch of videos from me on my YouTube channel. It's pretty much every day. You get to watch this anime show on my YouTube channel as well. On Spotify, look up the JulesTheHuman Anime Hour. You can find us on Spotify there. If you missed any of the other episodes, if you want to go back and see some of the other anime we've already talked about, I have a playlist on the YouTube channel, also on Spotify. It's all the episodes. We're already on season 2, done a lot of anime. Thank you so much for watching, everybody live. We appreciate it. And until next time, Erased episode 1 through 4 next Wednesday.
That's your homework.
That's your homework. Anime homework.